Hey, it's such an honor to speak among some of my heroes and inspiration, and thank you, Lauren and Golden, for having me here and all the panels. I'd like to speak about the School for Poetic Computation, and especially on the issues of gender diversity, and especially focusing on the student diversity. So I'm an artist and an illustrator, a hacker. My contribution to P5 has been mostly for illustrating some of the basic concepts through comics that Lauren asked me to do a year ago, and I was producing these comics for a book that we'll be publishing together through the studio in the near future. As an artist, I'm a hacker and a maker of small computational devices. So this is a shift register made out of D-type flip-flops. And I like to make these very simple handmade computers for a few reasons. I'm inspired by the potentials of computation outside of programming. I like to diversify the way that we work with technology. And I like to think of it as an art object and an installation where we rethink and reinvent computation, and especially focusing on alternative possibilities of computer as not driven by the war agendas or corporate mass production. So this is a handmade 8-bit computer that's installed as an art object in a museum. And a lot of this is about demystifying technology to a person like me who comes from a fine arts background. So looking at the beauties of computation and especially the repetition and abstraction that is quite fascinating if you start to look at it. And public engagement is a very important part of my practice. So youth, adults, people who are not often at museums are invited to the project that I do. This one is at LACMA. We are making timekeeping devices. So today I'd like to speak about the School for Poetic Computation, which I co-founded with 3 other individuals who are big heroes to me. Zach Lieberman, who has been contributing to the open source through the open frameworks. Ami Pitaru, who's a user experience designer, but also a musician and an inventor. And Jen Lo, who's a mathematician and data visualization artist. So we weren't happy with how we were teaching at the existing universities for a few reasons, but namely, it was too expensive for students, and it was, we didn't like the idea of introducing these amazing tools and ideas and leaving them in a wild world without depth. And part of the other reason is that we wanted the school to be a place where new ideas could take shape, as opposed to a place where institutions sort of recreate the existing ideas. So our classes are quite unconventional. So I teach binary logic and logic gates and low-level electronics. We focus in code and 3 kinds of code: functional programming, imperative language, and scripting language. And the theory, so especially critical theories and aesthetics and visual culture, and hardware, which is physical computing. I'd like to just show you a brief clip of the very first class that we held.
You out of, like if you're 1 number away, I could go, well now subtract 4.
And you can only roll these.
It's only from the ones that were in the roll. So I have to use all of them, but then I can like force one upon the previous player.
But then I can only flip these.
No, but then the next player flips all of them. We're going in rounds, so I flip these, and then like you flip, we're going in rounds like that.
But when you say 4,
So what's happening is that we teach the concept of binary number in the very first day, and we ask students to create a game to teach other students about that the very next day. So this is a very fast process of learning and teaching, and we like to think the best students are the best teachers and vice versa. So this, this idea of empowering students through teaching has been a very effective way of engaging difficult materials in a very integrated manner. And we like to open source most of our teaching materials, either code or the lectures. This is my teaching material for logic gates. These are usually in our school repositories. And also finance. So this is something different from other schools, is that we release most of our financial data, and you can see how much I get paid through the past 3 years. And now we've run the school for 4 times, and each time 15 to 18 students from all around the world who are either engineers or artists or somewhere in between. We've always had these issues of how to make our school more inviting for others, because that was an idea of more transparent school. So let's go back to the 2013. We had 54 applicants, which was quite surprising, and I think that was due to sort of a large amount of publicity that we got as a starting out. But the number of applicants did not matter so much because there was a lot of misconception about the school. A lot of people thought we were like code boot camp, but we were like an art school that used code. So we accepted 15 students, and this was the ratio between 2 genders. Just this term, 2 years later, we had 31 applicants, and believe me, it was much harder to choose the students this time because there was a whole self-selection process that happened with the applicants. So we have 62% of male applicants. We accepted about almost 52% male and 48% female. However, what happens is that it ends up being 44% and 56% male. There's a lot of instances where the female students that we accepted were not able to come because for a variety of reasons, because we charge tuition, which keeps us independent from any of the branding, and also just schedule and related issues. And this allowed me to think about this 2 worlds that we are living in between. So the art world, the Guerrilla Girls are this historic feminist activist performance artists who did amazing data visualization of the inequalities of the art world through a very analog posters. This is a very recent work just this year about, and they recreated a poster they made in 1985 of the woman artists having a solo show at the major museum and the major commercial galleries in New York. And in 2015, the number didn't change so much. So this does not look so good. In the tech world, as we all know, is this really imbalanced world in terms of education and also in terms of industry. This is Tracy Chow's ongoing research about how many women employees are in the tech startup world. And she has a repository where she keeps updating these numbers and as the new companies sort of open their data. And you can see that the last commit was just 2 days ago, or 12 days ago. And just for example, the Dropbox has 275 employees and only 26 are female engineers. So on that note, like, the world is really difficult in terms of when we think about diversity. And the question that was given to us, the presenters, was, what kind of future do you want to see? And the future that I do not want to see is the future of a very long tail of otherness, which is what Haiyan Zhang, who co-founded OpenIDEO, talks about. So it's a world of subtle and harder prejudices. The moment like being diverted to home economics class instead of woodshop. It's not having female engineering role models. It's being told you look too young or too much like a girl to be taken seriously as a professional. It goes on. This is the world that she grew up in and had to resist as a female engineer. The world that we want to see through the school is empowering our students to teach and lead their own schools. So this is Rachel Wah, who was the alumni from our first class. She started her own school in Berlin. And we encourage everyone in this room and your community to start a small organization for yourself. And I think my time is up, but I'd like to end at the larger question of the audiences and new audiences and building the commons. And we started this approach of working with the local communities in Brooklyn and Bushwick to sort of introduce what we love to to the wider audience. So this is a poetic science fair. We invite the local community to hack with us, and an opportunity for our students to meet and teach younger folks and older folks in that same manner. So thank you so much for having me, and please support our school by coming to the school or make your own school and having a community of schools all around us. Thank you.